When did the I crave attention kid go too far? He was a jerk. I had a couple of pet goats, and he would come over and bully them all the time. He'd poke them through the fence with sticks, throw rocks at them, spook them with loud noises, but he'd never go into the pen. He was too scared of them. He should have known better. He was 16. One day we are all inside, and we hear this blood-curdling scream. In comes the kid, screaming at the top of his lungs. The goat. The goat is after me. Help. We turn to see the big billy goat staring at him through the sliding glass door. Every once in a while it'd headbutt the glass. Now this was a very docile animal. He'd have never hurt a fly, but he was out for that boy's blood. It turns out that the kid had been torturing the goat. He had him pinned up against the wall of the pen, throwing rocks and sticks at its testicles to see if he could hit them. The goat came after him, scaled the fence, and chased him across 3 acres of land and into the house. The kid waited for 2 hours for the goat to go away, but it never did. Anytime he opened a door to try to sneak away, the goat was right there trying to attack him. Eventually the goat disappeared, and the kid tried to sneak out a window feet first and once again started screaming, because the goat was right there head-butting his backside as he climbed out. It was absolutely liberating. Little brother is a few years younger than me. He used to come into my room to harass me all the time, and my parents never allowed me to have a lock. He was around 10 when I started propping a piano stand under my doorknob to keep people out. I'm so sick of people saying it was a fire hazard. You'd use whatever you could do if your parents never knocked, and your brother used to shoot you with their soft guns. Little brother pushed the door and the piano stand was at the knob. I ignored it before all I heard was the loudest bang followed by a thud. I opened the door to see him laying on the floor, holding his face and crying. Apparently, he decided that he could break down my door like in the movies by throwing himself against it after running from down the hall. But this dumbass didn't just throw his shoulder or kick it. He threw his entire body against it like a squirrel going for a tree. Arms and legs out, face freaking first. I got blamed for it, but it was worth it. Only time I ever laughed that hard at his expense again was when he tried to fart into my room and shat himself about 2 years later. I knew this girl in high school who was the queen of obnoxious and attention-seeking behavior. She was constantly trying to get people's attention, from screaming loudly in the hall to crying hard over sad memes at lunch. She was so annoying, but unfortunately, many people bought and fed into her histrionics. Let's call her Cryface. I never really liked Cryface. She came off as fake and kinda rude. I tried to ignore her for the most part, but the absolute turning point for me was her over-the-top behavior at a choir concert junior year. It was 20 minutes before the concert was set to begin, and all the kids were practicing getting on the risers, about 100 people. Suddenly, Cryface's mom entered the auditorium, briskly walked to the director, and whispered something in his ear. The director nodded and called Cryface off the riser. When Cryface got down, the mom whispered something to her. All of a sudden, Cryface let out a blood-curdling scream and ran for the auditorium exit. She got halfway before collapsing to the ground wailing. She kept yelling, "Oh my god, oh hi, oh my god," over and over again. The mom came up behind her, pulled her up by the elbow, and rushed out. Naturally, everyone in the choir thought something horrible had happened. Some friends had texted her, but Cryface would only respond with cryptic messages like nothing will ever be the same, and why couldn't it have been me? Rumor spread that her father and little sister had burned to death in a car wreck. With a reaction like that, what else could it be? People were talking about organizing a carpool to attend the funeral and taking friendship shifts so someone would always be available to comfort her. I even agreed to a couple shifts. Hell, the entire choir said a group prayer for her before the concert, and this was at a public school. We were also worried. Now, these thoughts would have been incredibly kind if that was what happened. But nope. Turns out Cryface's little sister was diagnosed with diabetes. The sister didn't go to the hospital. She didn't get sick and need medical attention. The family had only received a call that the scheduled medical tests came back positive for diabetes. The mom came to tell Cryface because the family had decided to skip the choir concert so they could meet with the doctor and talk about the medical diagnosis. There was this girl for a while that had this huge crush on me, and she didn't seem to realize that she had been a total jerk to me for most of my life, and that I really disliked her. Finally she decided to get my attention by stealing my $300 leather jacket and saying that she wouldn't give it back unless I went out with her. So I contacted her mom and told her that if she didn't intervene, then my parents were going to press charges. The day after she gave my jacket back, she sent me this long ass text talking about how I hurt her so badly and it would take a long time to earn back her trust. I replied by saying I don't want you to trust me, I want you to leave me alone. And we haven't spoken since. Started yelling and screaming purely in an annoying and antagonistic way during a school shooting drill. We had no idea it was a drill and the kid is just banging on walls and yelling, "Hey, we are in here, we are in here," as other students are in the corner and girls are crying because they truly believe this kid is going to get them killed. The teacher and student aides were trying to restrain him, and a friend of mine, again, still under the impression this was real, literally stood up to go punch his lights out to shut him up, just as the drill ended, and was revealed to be just a drill. Had the announcement come a few seconds later, that kid would have gotten knocked the hell out. My ex-roommate did a whole lot of stupid shit for attention. She constantly posted things on social media like the world would be better off without me, nobody wants me alive, etc. But she always refused to get actual help. When her boyfriend broke up with her, she went around telling everyone that she broke up with him after he raped her. She always bragged to people she had just met about how many guys she had been with, how much she loved weed and alcohol, etc. She got engaged to her Tinder freak buddy she had only known for a few months. And she made me homeless because her engagement was supposed to be a secret from her parents. They found out and she blamed me. So she made a whole bunch of shit up about me emotionally abusing her, even though that's what she was doing to me the entire time I lived with her. That way her parents would kick me out. They owned the loft we were staying in. I haven't spoken to her since I was kicked out, but from what I hear from other people, the psycho bitch is going nowhere in life. She got kicked out of her first choice university, dropped out of community college after failing all of her classes her first semester, and has been stuck as a cashier at a shitty grocery store for the past 2 years. Oh, and her Tinder freak buddy broke the engagement with her right after I was made homeless. Guess he finally got a brain and realized she's insane. Had an online friend claim while we were making an MC server that he was super rich and had a mansion and like 5 Bugattis and Ferraris, and what the freak ever. Showed us insect element versions of his PayPal, posted his Google image ass cars all over the Discord, had a mightier than thou tone, abused his admin on the server a lot. He never once showed us his actual face or spoke on VC once he got busted. He DM'd me pretending to be his brother saying that he had died. Then a couple days later his brother DM'd me and said the doc's fucked up and has actually been in a coma for like 2 days, but told me to tell you he feels betrayed, that you never believed him. I blocked the freak out to him when he DM'd me a few months later saying, "Sup bro, been a long time since I saw you. Anyone wants proof of this? I got you." My old friend online, he used to say he was depressed and suicidal and did self-harm. Everhone thought they were ill. At first I did too, until I was looking up fake cuts on YouTube for Halloween and saw a cut that looked like his. Went back on Discord to look at the picture of the cut, and there I saw the pen ink and confronted him, but apparently he was rushed to an emergency room from that same cut and was put on suicide watch for 24 hours, but had the entire time and couldn't take pictures of proof. In the end, a few weeks later we were in a Discord server, and I joined the public call there, and there he was. Yeah, a few weeks ago I lied to my old friend saying I got some cut and was in the emergency room. We talk daily still like real friends and not old friends. Then I said, "Oh really? Well then we're not talking anymore then," and he tried apologizing and saying he lied to then, but I was done with his bullcrap. I blocked him and never talked to him again. This was December 2018. I used to work a boys and girls club. There was one particular girl who was around 7 to 8. She came in one day with a bruise. Told the lady at the counter that her mom abused her. CPS and cops were called. Determined that no, mom did not beat her. In fact, mom was very freaked out and worried about it. A couple days later the girl runs up to me and another worker with a busted lip and black eye shy. Fresh. She told us that another kid beat her up. We go to look on the cameras. I crap you not, this girl tells the other kid that he/she, I can't remember which, was gonna get into big trouble for refusing to play with her. She proceeds to run into the wall several times. When that didn't do much, she takes a broom handle and literally jabs her eye with it. Repeatedly. Then, once she has a black eye, she bites her lip to make it bleed. Then she runs out to tell on said kid. IDK what happened next as I was scheduled to do my lifeguarding duty. Last I heard, she hasn't come back. I sure hope she was put in a mental ward or some crap. Kid was psycho. She sent picture of cuts on her arms to other students via Snapchat with no warning. When kids responded she left them on open. The school and her parents obviously got involved and she was called to the office first thing in morning the next day. I later found out she sent them because she was curious as to what people would say to her if she self-harmed. The cuts weren't deep, just deep enough to draw a small bit of blood. They healed in a month or so and didn't even but it freaked people out. This girl never really apologized or showed any kind of remorse. She was almost proud of the fact that people tried to contact her or help her. Kids called her house phone to speak to her parents. Needless to say most people haven't forgiven her. She was sent to therapy, was confirmed to be non-suicidal and that's where the story ends. I'm not sure if she is still in therapy. Actually two different people. The first person lied constantly about everything, claiming that he was moving or that he did something absurd. One day he decided to tell everybody that he was diagnosed with brain cancer and that he only had a few weeks left to live. He kept this up well past his supposed deadline. Then after around 3 months he told everybody that he had made it up, even though everyone was skeptical since the beginning. I still see him around sometimes, but I don't talk to him anymore. The second person got a restraining order on her ex because he assaulted her. He never actually did anything wrong. She didn't get the restraining order until a month after they had broken up. He broke up with her. Then when he was walking in the hallway, he walked by her and she freaked out and made a scene. She stopped coming to school and I haven't seen her since. I used to work in a chain gastro pub. It was situated in the town center and we regularly had young mums in after a day of shopping. One day we had a woman who seated herself on the far side of the pub, away from the entrance, and her child was running around in the manner accustomed only to young children and crackheads. She paid it no heed and expected the busy staff to babysit its spawn as it fed its fat face with condiments straight from the bottles repeatedly. After almost a full shift of this, it was probably only 2 hours, but it felt longer. I was leaving, and as I walked to the entrance the spawn ran face first into one of the few supporting pillars. It's the only time a child's crying has brought me joy. Art class grade 12. Girl in our class was saying how she escaped an abusive relationship and that she felt like a better person slowly but surely. We were all sitting in a circle on chairs. Attention seeker, short obese, rainbow hair and 1000 ear and nose piercings, didn't like the attention and support this girl was getting, so she flopped into the middle of the circle and pretended to have a seizure. Everyone freaked, except me and the few that knew she was a fake, and the seizure miraculously disappeared while a student was trying to dial 911. The abuse victim girl had a panic attack because of it, and I still don't forgive that triggerling for pulling that stunt, and that was like 5 years ago. The dude was my best friend since kindergarten. Now I can wait until he leaves at the end of the year. On the first few days of school this year, we were outside for sport and we could whatever we wanted, since we just did the beep test and finished early. I decided to go throw the frisbee with some friends and the guy in mention stayed back towards the car park with some other people. At some point I started seeing rocks appearing, and I turn around to see him throwing rocks at me. None hit, but one almost grazed my ear. This dude plays high level cricket and is a hard thrower, so if they had hit I'd be done for. Went to high school with this guy that tried so hard to make everyone believe he was this hardest metal/goth guy. Dude was greasy as freak and smelled horrible. He was always making up the dumbest lies about how he got into knife fights for fun and how he drank booze for breakfast every morning. He really wanted people to be afraid of him, so after the Columbine shooting happened he took full advantage of it. I sat behind him in English and my teacher got into him for being all around obnoxious and disruptive. He kept trying to argue and have the last word, so she sent him to the office. He got up, and before he left the room he said, "Guys like me are finally getting sick of being treated like this, and you're all gonna pay for it soon." I reported his ass to the principal that day and we didn't see him again for a few weeks. He never knew it was me that told on him. Like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.